What if something as simple as a fever could quietly become a death sentence? When we think about the Wild West, we imagine gunfights, outlaws, dusty streets filled with danger. But the truth is, most people didn't die from bullets. They died from something far more ordinary and far more terrifying. They got sick. In the American frontier, there were no hospitals, no reliable doctors, no medicine you could trust. A simple infection, a minor injury, contaminated water, things we barely think about today, could spiral out of control faster than anyone expected. And the worst part? It didn't always look dangerous at first. You could wake up feeling slightly off, a headache, a fever, maybe just fatigue after a long day under the sun. Nothing that seemed life-threatening, nothing that would make you panic, not yet. But in the Wild West, that's exactly how it started. Because once illness entered your body, everything else around you worked against your survival. The environment, the lack of hygiene, the absence of real treatment, it all turned a simple sickness into something far more serious, something that didn't give second chances. And when you begin to understand how fragile life really was in that world, you start to realize that getting sick wasn't just unfortunate, it was the beginning of something most people never came back from. And if you really put yourself in that situation, imagine not knowing if what you're feeling is something small or the beginning of the end. No diagnosis, no certainty, no one to tell you what's happening inside your own body, just time passing and your condition getting worse. Have you ever ignored a small symptom thinking it was nothing and later realized it was more serious than you thought? Go down in the comments and tell me, have you ever experienced something like that?
Here?
If this
I need
kind
help,
of real,
please.
raw history
Where is
pulls
everyone?
you in, the kind that makes you see the past in a completely different way, take a second to like the video. It helps this story reach more people who would never imagine how brutal life in the Wild West really was. And if you want to keep discovering what survival actually meant back then, beyond the myths, beyond the movies, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because what you're about to see next is where things start to get much worse. At first, getting sick in the Wild West didn't feel like a death sentence. It felt ordinary, just like it would today. A headache after a long ride under the sun, a fever after days of exhaustion, maybe a cough, a wound that didn't look serious, or a strange pain that came and went. Nothing that immediately made you think your life was in danger. And that's exactly what made it so dangerous. Because in the American frontier, the real threat wasn't how things started, it was how quickly they could change. There was no early warning system, no reliable diagnosis, no clear understanding of what was happening inside your body. People didn't think in terms of infection, bacteria, or internal complications the way we do now. Most of the time, they simply waited, hoping the body would recover on its own. But the Wild West wasn't a place that gave you time. A small illness could quietly grow worse while everything else around you stayed the same. The same dusty streets, the same harsh environment, the same lack of hygiene. You might still be walking, still talking, still trying to live your normal routine, while something inside you was already getting out of control. And the scariest part is that in many cases, people didn't even realize how serious it was until it was too late. Think about that for a second. No clear symptoms at first, no urgency, no immediate fear, just a slow progression that felt manageable until it wasn't. And by the time the situation became obvious, options were already disappearing. Because in the Wild West, you didn't have the luxury of catching things early and treating them properly. You didn't have access to safe medicine, controlled environments, or even basic sanitation. What you had was uncertainty. And uncertainty in a place like that was often the beginning of something far worse than anyone expected. And that's the detail most people overlook when they imagine life on the frontier. It wasn't always the dramatic moments that ended lives. It was the quiet ones, the ones that started small, almost invisible, blending into everyday life until they reached a point where nothing could be reversed anymore. Comment "too late" below, because what comes next reveals why when things finally got serious, there was often no one who could help you. And this is where the reality becomes much harder to ignore, because once the illness started to get worse, people in the Wild West faced a problem that most of us today never even have to think about. There was no real help. No reliable doctors nearby, no hospitals equipped to treat serious conditions. In many frontier towns, medical care was either extremely limited or simply didn't exist at all. And even when there was someone who called themselves a doctor, there was no guarantee they had proper training, knowledge, or even the right tools to help. Imagine being in that situation. Your body is getting weaker, the symptoms are becoming more intense. You start to realize that something is wrong, really wrong, and your first instinct is to look for help, to find someone who knows what to do, someone who can stop what's happening before it gets worse. But what if there's no one? Or worse, what if the only help available might actually make things worse? Because in the Wild West, many treatments were based on guesswork, outdated methods, or pure desperation. People used whatever they had, herbs, alcohol, crude instruments, hoping something would work. But without real understanding of disease or infection, these attempts often did more harm than good. And even reaching that help wasn't simple. Distances between towns were vast. Travel was slow and exhausting. If you were too weak to move, you stayed where you were. And if no one could come to you, you were left to face it alone. That's what made getting sick in the Wild West so terrifying. Not just the illness itself, but the isolation that came with it. The realization that as your condition worsened, your options weren't expanding, they were disappearing. And the more serious it became, the more you understood something most people today never have to experience. You were running out of time, and there was nothing you could do about it. Comment "no cure" below, because that one phrase says everything about what people faced back then. If you made it to this point, it means this wasn't just another story for you. Something here stayed with you. Maybe it made you realize how fragile survival really was, or how something as simple as getting sick could turn into something irreversible. Maybe it made you think about how different life used to be, and how quickly everything could change without warning. And if you felt that, if this story hit you in any way, then this is exactly the kind of content you don't want to miss. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because here we don't show the myths of the Wild West. We show the reality most people never hear about. Type "no cure" in the comments if you truly understand what it meant to get sick in the Wild West and why so many never recovered. Leave a like, it helps this video reach more people who would never imagine how brutal life in the Wild West really was. And if you're not done yet, there's another video already on your screen right now. Trust me, you're gonna want to watch that next.